How many of you, by a show of hands, this is your very first class or your very first semester at St. Philip's College? Excellent. Love it. Awesome. Welcome. Come on in. Here's a paper for you. And then if someone could pass a marker to this young man, and we'll write your name on there for me, please. Thank you. Um, Antonio, excellent. And remind me when you at the end of the class, I'm going to update the attendance record. All right. So um, this class is Professionalism HMG 1170. This is an 8-week class. It's what's called a flex class. Okay. So our class will actually end in October. When your other classes are going for midterms, this class will be finishing up. Okay. Because of the schedule and the calendar that we actually only have 6 class meetings in this particular class. So 1 week in the middle of September, so in about a month or so from now, I've been invited to go to a university in the Philippines to go and what's what I'm looking for? Monitor or like follow up on evaluate, that's what I'm looking for. Evaluate their hospitality program. And so we will have a kind of an online independent study on that particular week. And I feel like there's another reason why this class, I have to look at our calendar, but I feel like there's only 6 weeks that we're actually, oh, I know why. Because my other class that I teach is on Monday. Okay. And they have next Monday off because it's Labor Day. And I like to keep my classes together. I don't like to get off schedule. So it's a lot easier for me to keep things separate. So you guys get an extra Labor Day weekend. So it's just Mr. Uminski's class. Okay. It's not a college policy. It's just my Mr. Uminski's policy. So if you have other teachers that have classes on Tuesday next week, they probably are having class. But I personally like to keep my classes together. Okay. You're good. Thanks, Ricardo. Um, so that's why we only have 6 class meetings. So we'll have next Tuesday. You'll kind of count that as your Labor Day holiday so I can keep those classes together. Okay. So good job selecting Tuesday as your class. You get an extra day off for Labor Day. Um, so the other thing with my classes, this is professionalism. Okay. And traditionally, professionalism says that you don't really wear headphones or earbuds. But I live record all of my lecture classes. So that way I can post the live recording. And so to do that, you'll see 2 pictures of me up on the screen. One is the computer and one is Zoom on my phone. And so I'm using the headset so the audio quality is much better than relying on the computer microphone. So I will traditionally have one earbud in. I promise I'm not listening to a podcast. I am listening, or I'm just recording the audio for our lecture, and I will post that on Canvas. So that way you'll have an opportunity to go back. If you were absent, you can go back and listen to the class, or if there is any material that you want to review that we talked about, you can go back and rewatch that. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns so far? All right. So I found this meme and I thought it was perfectly sums up what we're going to talk about in this class. Professionalism is keeping a polite smile on your face when really you just want to punch someone in the throat. See how I said that with a smile and how much it sounds, how it sounds differently when you say something with a smile. But in reality, all joking aside, of course, we're never going to punch our guests in the throat. Why? Because we don't want to go to jail and we want to keep our job, right? But on the inside, oftentimes we do have those moments where we don't exactly say what we want to say. And that's professionalism. Learning what is appropriate in a specific setting and abiding by that in that specific setting is kind of what professionalism is all about. What are some settings that you can think about that might have different types of, or might that definition of professionalism might change from one setting to the next?
Childcare.
Childcare? In what regard? Okay, the way you talk to kids is way different from the way you talk to adults. Okay, I'll agree with that. Think about your career or your jobs that you've had in the past. Is there maybe one job that had a different standard of professionalism than another job? Nicholas, what are you thinking about? You nodded. Nonverbal communication. You nodded. So I'm like, Nicholas knows what I'm talking about. What are you thinking? Absolutely. That's a great example, right? So if you go to a hotel, like let's say Marriott or Hyatt, then the front desk agent might be wearing a suit. But if you go to somewhere like a Hampton Inn, they may be wearing a polo shirt and khakis. Okay. Both are professional. One is just maybe a little bit more professional, more business professional. One's a little bit more business casual, but they are professional for that specific setting. Good example. Yes, Selena. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example, Selena. And we here at St. Philip's College have a very high standard for our chef uniforms and our lab classes. It was really funny. I had an opportunity to go to Missouri State University to do a similar site evaluation back in March of this year. And they're not a culinary program, but they have cooking classes as part of their degree program. And I thought it was really interesting. I used to think that our programs, we're like, why are we so strict in our uniform and whatnot? And I walked into one of their cooking classes, and ladies were in yoga pants. People were wearing jeans. They were wearing tennis shoes. They all had the same matching chef coat because the school provided the chef coat for their class. Um, but it wasn't that same standard that we had. And so when you walk in, I love walking into our lab classes, and everyone's in uniform, everything looks crisp, it looks very professional. And we actually get comments on that when people come and visit our programs, and they comment on the professionalism of our students in labs. But in Maine, in the summertime, when I used to cook for a summer camp, I would wear jeans and my chef coat. Not a St. Philip's College chef coat, but I would wear my chef coat. And I'd wear a backwards baseball cap. Sometimes I wear shorts and sandals. And those are the days that I would burn myself. And I remembered why we wear long pants in the kitchen, and why we have that uniform standard. So keep that in mind, that professionalism can fluctuate based on the environment that you're in. Okay. So as we go through this class, as you log into Canvas, it's best to go through the modules. Let me go ahead at this point. Let me pull up our um, outline, our calendar for this class. Let's see. Here we go, course calendars. Flex 1 Tuesdays. All right. So I will post this in Canvas, and I actually am going to adjust this before I post it, mostly because I want to give a little bit more time for resumes in this class. So we'll probably hit up resumes as soon as we come back on September 9th, as far as working on those in class and turning something in. But you'll notice where it says on Labor Day, it says my class only. Okay, so again, that's a Mr. Uminski course policy. That is not a St. Philip's College policy. And so if you do have other teachers that have classes on Tuesdays, they may not be doing that same Labor Day format. Okay. A lot of stuff we'll be doing here in class, but I will post this on Canvas so that you'll be able to kind of know exactly what we're doing. And then that independent study on week number 5 is the time that I will be out of town. Any questions about our calendar? So the main priorities that we're going to be talking about in this class, we're going to do resumes. We're going to talk about some interview techniques and things to help prepare you. How many of you have never interviewed for a job before? You raise your hand, be proud. Okay, just a couple people. Awesome. How many people only ever interviewed you once or twice? Less than 5 times. Okay, less than 5 times. Cool. How about 5 times or more? Okay, awesome. Cool, cool. Excellent. So a lot of variety. So as we are talking about things, if you have experience, whether it's on the job or personal experience about a topic that we're talking about, I would love for you to inject and provide some feedback on that. Okay. So attendance on Tuesday is required in person. We are going to have, we only meet once a week. So the college allows you to miss 12% of the classes. Roughly that translates up to 2 weeks worth of classes for a regular full semester. Okay. But in our case, since it's a half a semester, it's just 1 week worth of classes. So that does not include the 2 weeks that we do not have class. Okay. So keep that in mind. As you go through, again, remember, I will go ahead and post that. So for the decorum, basically is a proper way of acting, behaving, speaking, dressing in a particular situation. So in this class, this is the only lecture class that we ask that you dress professionally when you come to class, okay? That can be business casual or business professional, okay? It also includes chef uniforms. So you can wear your chef uniform if you would like to. I know some people are maybe not so comfortable in professional attire. Maybe your chef uniform is more comfortable for you. So I'm gonna, if you'll take one and pass it down for me, please. And if you'll snag those two in the back for me, please, as well. All right, so these kind of self-assessment grades for your professional attire, they will be over here on the silver table as you come in. So starting in 2 weeks, when we come back, 2 weeks after today, you're gonna come in, you're gonna pick up your professional attire, and you'll pick up your name tent. Okay, so you'll leave your name tent as you go. You'll pick that up. Do we need any more? We have enough for everybody. Any extras you can just leave on that side, and I'll pick them up at the end of class. All right, so I want you to take a look at this. Basically, everyone starts, when it comes to your professional attire, everyone starts with a grade of 3. Okay, everyone starts with a full grade of 3. Anything that you circle in the acceptable column, your grade stays the same. Anything you circle in the unacceptable column, you lose 1 point. Okay. So today, this is not for a grade. This is only your practice, so you can kind of see what the expectations are in 2 weeks when you come back to class. Okay. So this is not for a grade. Everyone will get a grade of 3 for today. This is just so you'll have an understanding if you came to class dressed like you are today, for the rest of the semester, that's the grade you would get for that particular attire. Okay. For professional attire, I would recommend, if you do not have a professional wardrobe, I would recommend starting small. Okay. Being maybe a little bit more conservative. Don't go out and get that neon pink suit. Okay. Because you probably can't wear that very often. But if you get a black suit or a navy suit, you can wear that more regularly. If you buy shirts that are maybe more neutral in color, white, gray, ivory, you can wear that with more colors. So start a little bit more neutral in those color selections. Okay. Do you have to spend a fortune on clothes? No, you don't. I'll give you an example. One time I was traveling for work, or actually I was traveling for fun, but I forgot that I had a Zoom meeting for work. And so I had to jump on Zoom, and I went to the local Goodwill. I bought a shirt for $3 and I bought a tie for $3. Okay. So I spent $6 and nobody on the Zoom knew that I was wearing jeans because it was just from this up, right? But I went and spent $6 and I still wear that shirt and that tie today. It's not these, but I still wear that today. So you don't necessarily have to go out and spend a fortune and go buy a brand new suit or things like that unless you want to. Okay. So you can be a little bit, it doesn't really have to cost a whole lot. We also have upstairs on the third floor in room 303, we do have some professional attire that was donated by industry professionals for you all as students. So if you want to go up there after class is over, and if you want to find something that fits you and you want to take that and it belongs to you, it is yours to keep. Okay. We meet once a week. So if you want to wear the same thing to class every single week, I'm not going to judge you. Okay. If that's your professional attire for that week, just make sure you wash it from week to week or every couple of weeks or so. But yeah, we only meet once a week. Chances are I'll forget what you wore the previous week. But yeah, so keep that in mind as you go through. Just kind of practice with that professional executive presence and professional attire. Any questions, comments, concerns about this? Yes. So that would be dress shoes. You can have open-toed shoes, yeah. And even, I know it says sandals on the unacceptable. Ladies, if you have dress sandals, I know they exist, okay? If you have dress sandals, things that are a bit more dressy, then I'm thinking like flip-flops or like Chacos or Tevas, like those types of sandals or Birkenstocks, not really all that professional. But I know like sometimes they can, women, you can have more like fancy sandals. That's okay. This is a self-assessment, okay? There is no way I have 35 of you in this class, or up to 35 in any class that I teach. There's no way that I can see every single one of you as you come in. And I'm not going to judge your professional attire. This is your self-assessment, okay? So as you leave, today's not necessary because everyone gets a 3. But as you leave, you'll drop those off on the silver table, and I'll go through and add your grade in the grade book, okay? This is worth 3 points. Your attendance is worth 1 point, okay? So that's how you get your 4 points for attendance. So even if you have one thing in the unacceptable column, that's still a 75%. That's still a C. Yes, John Paul. No, the hat is not required. Thank you. Good question. If you're wearing your chef uniform, your chef coat and pants and shoes is the only thing that's required because we're not in a kitchen. But I do ask you keep your chef coat buttoned to the top rather than having it unbuttoned one button. Okay. Good question. Yes, sir. Cowboy boots. We're in Texas. Come on now. Okay. Cowboy boots are acceptable. I probably should polish mine. It's been a while. Yes, they are acceptable. Good questions. Any other questions? I encourage you if you want to dress a little bit more professionally, even on your regular class days when you don't have this class. It kind of just puts you in a different mood, if you will. Some people, it makes them put them into an uncomfortable mood. But in our industry, it's important to be able to have that executive presence. I'll answer you. I saw a hand over here. I'll answer your question just 1 second before I forget this thought. Back in 2009, when I graduated from St. Philip's, I treated myself to go to Portland, Oregon for a week to go visit a friend up there. Portland, Oregon in 2009 had the most number of coffee shops per capita based on their population from the entire country. So every single coffee shop had their own way of roasting or their own beans or whatever. And I thought that it was a requirement to have at least 3 visible tattoos to work at any coffee shop in Portland, Oregon back in 2009. Okay. And probably a nose ring. It's a little bit more laxed now with tattoos. I've even seen general managers of more select service hotels that have full sleeve tattoos. Okay. It all depends on the situation and the type of hotel, the type of establishment you're working at. Devin, did you have a question? Um, when we think about dress shoes, typically we think about shoes that are polishable rather than shoes that are more athletic. But again, if they're a darker color, sometimes you can get away with wearing darker kind of sneaker type shoes if they're a darker color. We do have some shoes, not as much, but we do have some shoes upstairs on the third floor as well. So if you want to come and check those out, just see me after class. Um, cool. Yes. Oh yeah. So dresses, ladies, that would count as 2 points. Okay. Basically count as your top and bottom. Just make sure it's an appropriate length. Same thing with there's enough coverage up top. Um, I mean, I'm not going to discriminate. Your assignments are traditionally due at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, or sorry, 8 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. Okay. How many of you have a teacher that has your assignments due at 11:59 p.m.? Okay, that's a default of Canvas. I can guarantee you I am not up at 11:59 p.m. waiting to grade your papers. Okay. So if I'm not waiting to grade your papers, what difference does it make to give you an extra 8 hours and 1 minute to work on your homework? Because I know as I finished my master's degree at North Texas back in 2020, there were times at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning I had to do my homework. And that was just what I had to do because life and work and everything has got in the way. So 8 a.m. on Tuesdays, think about that as like the start of our new class week on Tuesdays. So if you have me for a class on Mondays, then that work week is Mondays, and then ours is on Tuesdays. Okay. Here we go. This is our course calendar I already showed you. And again, I will post that in Canvas as soon as I have an opportunity. All right. So do some quick introductions. Tell us your name, your major, a favorite place you have traveled or a place that you want to visit. And then if you'll call on somebody who has their hand raised. Okay. My name is Mr. Uminski. My current major is a doctorate of education for organizational leadership with a focus in higher ed leadership. So I'm going to the university, the Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm working on my doctorate degree. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll finish by June of 2006, at which point I will shave my beard. I've been growing this for over 2 years now. And I will shave my beard, and then you guys can all call me Dr. Uminski. I'm looking forward to that day. Favorite place that I have traveled or I want to visit? I would love to visit those places I've seen that have like the hotel rooms that are like out on the water and you jump off the deck right on into the ocean. I think that would be amazing. Maybe one day I can afford that. All right. Who would like to go next? Autumn.
I traveled to Scotland in March for my trip, and I just loved it. Edinburgh was so.
I love Scotland. Was okay. Excellent. If you'll pass the microphone to the next group, and while y'all are doing that, who's going to speak for this group? All right, Devin, go ahead. Yep.
So I put professionalism to us is having a nice, clean work ethic, having elegance under pressure, positive workplace attitude, clear and eloquent communication skills, and aggressing to the whims of capitalism.
Okay, so having a nice work, clean ethic.
Yeah, having a nice work ethic, elegance under pressure, a positive workplace attitude, clear and eloquent communication skills, and aggressing to the whims of capitalism.
Okay, So I'm going to say it one more time. Sorry. Elegance under pressure and positive.
workplace attitude,
Okay.
clear and efficient communication skills, and listen to the whims of capital.
Gotcha. Positive workplace attitude. Clear. Clear. Okay. Clear.
Oh, I didn't say adequate, eloquent.
Oh, eloquent. Sorry. Wrong quet. Okay.
And aggressing to the whims of capital. Egress, I guess.
Explain that one a little bit.
Yeah, you have to ask him. That's who did.
That was my TED talk. So I feel like in the contemporary view of professionalism we have, it's like this idea of submitting yourself to like this idea of quote unquote professional. Okay, let me reword that because obviously that's circular. Professionalism is having to submit in essence to this bourgeois decadence at the heart of America. And that feels weird. That's how I feel about it. Obviously, everyone else has a different feel on it.
It's like doing what you got to do to sell something.
Essentially, like I'm conflicted about
Right.
that.
So sometimes you have to exercise professionalism. You have to potentially, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say give up, but you need to trade maybe like an aspect of yourself in order to fit in professionally to a work environment. Compromise, yeah, absolutely. Or the other option is to own your own business, and then you can set what that definition of professionalism is. But as long as you're working for someone else, they're the ones who set that level of what that definition of professionalism is. Okay, awesome. If y'all will pass the microphone over, then we're going to come right over here to this group. Go ahead. I see some common themes, so that's great. Respectfully carry yourself, treat others, and maintain self-control under pressure. What was the last part? Okay. And that etiquette goes back to what is appropriate at that particular time. Especially when you think about cultures, what is culturally acceptable as far as when I think primarily like dining etiquette or communication styles. What is appropriate in some cultures is not appropriate in others, right? Some cultures, if you're looking at them in the eye when you're communicating, that could be a sign of aggression. Whereas some people, if you're not looking them in the eye, making eye contact, in some cultures, that can be seen as a sign of shyness or weakness or things like that. So understanding what the etiquette is really key to practicing that professionalism and that etiquette. Good. All right, last group. Okay, go ahead.
Professionalism is being knowledgeable and prepared to do the job well. Knowing who you're working with to be able to respect in all interactions. According to yourself and your mission.
Awesome. Leaving personal issues at the door. Cool. I like that. Sometimes in hospitality specifically, Still misspelled. That's better. Knowledgeable. Sometimes in hospitality settings, especially in customer service settings where you're working with people, um, it's kind of harsh to say it, but your guest doesn't really care that you're having personal issues. They still want their steak prepared. They still want their service with a smile. Okay. And so that's something that I think I definitely have learned in hospitality and all my service jobs, is that we don't get a day off. When we are busy, it's when there's holidays and things like that. And so in hospitality, it is sometimes a little bit more challenging. Um, and so I think it's really important for you all as future leaders and future managers, of teams, that you recognize that our industry is sometimes really stressful, especially around the holiday time, and maybe recognize your staff and your team members in a different way, in order to provide that support for them. But also understand, especially if you think about if you're in a big tourist area, how much money did that family have to save to come to visit your destination? And so, when something doesn't go right, we want to do our best to make it right. There are things out of our control. Okay, as a front desk agent at the hotel, I used to love when people come in and be like, "Oh my gosh, it's raining again today." Yes, let me go outside and turn the rain off for you. Okay. That is something we want to say on the inside of our head and not on the outside. Um, but we just say, I'm so sorry. But here are some suggestions of things you can do when you're inside. And in Texas, our favorite saying is, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It'll probably change. And so oftentimes I would use something like that to kind of diffuse the situation and then give them recommendations of things they can do on the inside until the weather changes and still have a good vacation. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to combine this into one definition. And to do that, we're going to use AI. Okay. Here are 4 definitions of professionalism. I always use please and thank you because as soon as the AI becomes humanoid, hopefully they'll pass me up because I was polite to them each time. Can you please combine them into one cohesive definition? All right. Professionalism is about how you act and carry yourself in a work environment. It involves respectfully treating your others, yourself, and your work. This means being adaptable, helpful, and prepared to do your job well, all while maintaining a positive attitude and self-control, especially when under pressure. Do we all agree? Looking the part is also key. It's about presenting yourself in a way that shows you take your work seriously. I like that, right? That's part of that nonverbal communication, how we show up, how you present yourself. Definitely communicates to that person. Beyond your appearance, professionalism includes having a strong work ethic and communicating clearly and eloquently. Ultimately, it's about being knowledgeable and passionate and showing respect to everyone you interact with, leaving personal issues aside. Do we all agree with that? All right. So I'm going to leave ours up there. I'm going to put the combined one right below it so we can kind of see how the different components came together. Okay. And in the interest of time, this is something I do with each one of my classes. Things to be successful, things that you need to do to be successful in this course. This is what my other class came up with, my other professionalism class. Paying attention. So minimizing distractions, meaning don't have your cell phone out, don't have your computer if it's going to be a distraction. If you're working and taking notes, that's one thing. But if you're surfing the web or you're working on other classes assignments, that's not really appropriate. And it also may be distracting the people around you. Arrive to class prepared, set aside time for classwork and communicate with the professor. Make sure you ask for help. Is there anything that somebody would like to add and or change from this list? Work smarter, not harder. Okay, so why reinvent the wheel? All right, so to help you be successful in this class, I, as your professor, will be available during office hours, and I can be available via appointments as needed. Okay. And then also, I will post the recordings of our lectures within 24 hours of our class meeting. So by 5:30, by 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, I will make it a point to get this recording posted by then. All right. So I'm going to upload this to the student agreement assignment in Canvas. Okay. Um, and so when you come in and it's the end of the semester and you're like, Mr. Uminsky, why do I have a bad grade? And I can go back and look at your professional attire quiz grades or your professional attire grades, and you didn't come in with presenting yourself in a presentable way according to our schedule or our outline. That's how I can justify assigning the grade that you have, because that's the grade that you earn, not the grade that you were given. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. So I'll post this in Canvas. Give me about a day or so in that student agreement. And then from there, you'll just basically type your name, and that's your agreement, and I'll grade your assignment from there. All right. All right. So we still have about 27 minutes, which is good because we're going to go jump into this information. Okay. Did we do this in my other classes? We did? Okay. I can't remember if we did or not. We'll go ahead and do this relatively quickly. If you'll write on a piece of paper numbers 1 through 5, you can also, again, do this on the back side of your nameplate if you would like to, if you don't have a piece of paper. Okay, just numbers 1 through 5. And without overthinking, okay, I would like you to rank these shapes or designs. Which one, number 1, which one is like the one that you're drawn to or gravitate to the most? And then number 5 is which one you gravitate towards the least, which one kind of pulls your attention the least. And then just rank them in order of 1 through 5. Okay. There is no right or wrong. This is personal to you. One through 5. Anybody need a little bit more time? Okay, cool. I'm glad you all didn't overthink it. So let's go to, where did I put that? This is something that I did last week for the first time. I thought it was relatively interesting, so I decided to put it in my classes, incorporate it in my classes. And I guess I don't have it, so let me just go here. All right. So the order of your preference. The purpose of this is to kind of tell you a little bit about yourself. It may be accurate, it may be semi-accurate, it may be completely inaccurate. When I did this and I read through the results, I thought it was really kind of interesting. And so the different positions, 1 through 5, position number 1 is where you think you are. Okay, so this shape in the position describes the part of yourself of which you are most aware of and with you are most comfortable with at this time. Okay. Number 2 is your strengths. Number 3 is where you are. So even though the shape is third in your order of preference, it's the most significant. The shape you put in this position shows your true current growth process. Okay. I will post this in Canvas so you have access to it and you can download it. Maybe even do it with your families at home. Position 4 is your motivation. So points to the past challenges, tests, and circumstances that have motivated you to your current process of change. And position 5 is unfinished old business. Okay. So the circle, it will show you kind of if you put the circle. Who put circle as number 1? Anybody put circle as number 1? Okay. So you have a desire to be independent and self-sufficient. If that's your position number 1. And you can see the different positions of where you put your circle. Okay. So I'll give you just a moment to read and see. Give me a thumbs up if you think you agree with this statement based on which position your circle is in, or a thumbs down if you don't agree. Or maybe a sideways if it's like partially correct. Okay, so I see some up and sideways, a couple of downs. That's okay. Cool. So your circle. The cross is your relationship. So people who favor the cross will place emphasis on the quality, not the quantity or time shared with others. So position 1 means that the process of relationship is what you believe to be the most important of your life. All the way down to position number 5, you may want to ignore or dismiss the importance of the process of relationship in your life. So again, thumbs up if you think it relates in the right position, or thumbs sideways somewhat, thumbs down for not at all. Okay. And again, I'll post this on Canvas so you can do it a little bit deeper if you want to look at it a little bit more. The spiral is the growth and change. So the spiral symbolizes the process of growth and evolution. It's a process of coming to the same point again and again, but at a different level. So everything is seen in a new light. So I'll scroll down to the position numbers. Shows that the process of growth is one you believe to be most important, all the way down to means you are unlikely to show interest in the process of growth and change. How many of you just like things the way they are and you don't want to change? Did you put the spiral in position number 5? Anybody put spiral in position number 5? All right, cool. Do you agree with that? No? Okay. All right. The triangle. This was my number 1. The triangle is goals, visions, and dreams. The triangle carries the theme of self-discovery and revelation. People experiencing the triangular process are intensely focused on identifying and pursuing a goal. However, they need to avoid becoming so absorbed that their plans for the future that they accomplish nothing in the present. Position 5, you may be resisting the process of honoring your dreams and establishing goals. Okay. And the last one is the square, stability. The square symbolizes stability, solidity, and security. Those attracted to the square are ready to build, to implement a plan, and to manifest ideas. Nailed it for you. Okay. Anybody else? Positive, negative, somewhat. Okay. Again, I'll post this in Canvas so that way you can do a little bit more deep dive into it. Things like this, I think, are really interesting because sometimes it takes something as simple as these shapes to be like, I had no idea that subconsciously by being attracted to this, potentially can kind of tell me a little bit about myself. Is anybody in the HAMG 2305 tonight, 645, the management leadership class tonight? Okay, just one. We're going to do a different personality test. It won't be this one. It'll be more work focused. So, all right. Cool, cool, cool. So let's jump back to the PowerPoint. And in our last 10 minutes of class, 19 minutes of class, We're going to talk about goal setting. Okay. How many of you, right, by show of hands, make goals? How many of you have any kind of goals that you're working on right now? Okay, so keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if that goal is actually written down somewhere. Okay, cool. Sometimes they say that by having a goal written down, it forces you and put it up in a place that you see it on a regular basis. It helps keep you more focused on that goal. What is the purpose of having a goal? Okay, yeah, to obtain it. It gives us a target, something to aim for. Good. What else? Yeah, growth in general. Good. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Something to work towards. Do they have to be massive life-changing goals? No. It could be the, you know what? I want to make my bed for the next month, every day for the next month. Okay? I don't know what it is. I cannot make my bed in the morning. And the days that I do make the bed, it's because I slept on top of the covers because I didn't want to make the bed the next morning. Right? So I don't know what it is about making a bed. But it could be. Oh yeah, for business, pretend you have visitors coming. I like that. Um, so it's really important that we set those goals to have that growth. We can have long-term goals, okay? And then we have short-term goals. So if you think about them more like a ladder, so as we have those short-term goals, um, maybe my long-term goal is to have a clean bedroom. I don't know why I'm on this kick right now. Maybe it's because my bedroom's not clean. Okay. And maybe my short term goal is for the next month, I'm going to make my bed every day. And then once that becomes second nature, then I'm going to move on to my next goal. I'm going to actually put my laundry in the laundry basket, or I'm going to fold the laundry as soon as it's out of the dryer. I'm not going to wait 2 or 3 weeks before I actually put my laundry away. Okay. I feel like I'm giving y'all way too much insight into my life. It's really not that horrible. Okay. But those short term goals can lead towards your long term goals. Okay. Long term, technically, are about 5 to 10 years out. Short term, 1 to 2 years. How many of you have a goal to get your associate's degree from St. Philip's College? Okay. That could technically be a long term goal, even though it is about a 2 year process, and it still falls under that short term. It could still technically be a long term goal. What do you think would be a good short term goal that might help you achieve the long term goal of getting your associate's degree? Complete one semester at a time. Yep, John Paul. Turn your work in on time. Good. So you can pass your classes. All those short-term goals can help you work towards that long-term goal. Okay. I don't know why. I've never really been focused on my GPA, but for whatever reason, I have a 3.76 GPA right now at school, and I really want to keep that above a 3.75. And so I'm looking at, okay, do I really want to go out and um, go to this networking event, or should I work on my homework and turn that in so I can make sure I have an A in this class? Okay. So that really kind of makes a difference. As we are writing our goals, we want them to be specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, or relevant, and time-based. So that spells out the word SMART. Okay. We're going to talk about SMART goals. Okay. I have a goal. I want to save some money. Is that a SMART goal? I got to break it down, right? So if I say I want to save money, is that specific? No, it's not a SMART goal. It's a wise goal, but it's not a SMART goal. So how could I make that goal of I want to save money? How can I make that more specific? How much money do I want to save? Okay, so I might save. Okay, so I'm going to say save money. Okay, I'm going to switch to green because I want to save money. Okay, so now I'm going to say $1,000. Is that specific? No, I'm going to save $1,000. Okay, there we go. We don't have our time base yet. All right, so we'll jump down there. Is 1,000 measurable? right? I know if at the end of the day, at the end of my time period, do I have 1,000? Do I not have 1,000? That's measurable, okay? Is it achievable? Well, that's a personal question, okay, that you would have to answer for yourself. Is it achievable? Is it relevant? Obviously, it's relevant because it's my goal, okay? Yeah, so am I saving $1,000 for travel? Am I saving $1,000 for whatever purpose, okay? Time-based. Thank you so much, George, for bringing that up. It's not time-based, so it's not quite specific. It's not quite, it is specific, sorry. It's not quite smart yet. So let's say I want to save $1,000 by May 2026. Is that smart? Is it specific? It's $1,000. Is it measurable? Yes, I can measure it. Achievable? Well, that may be my goal for May 2026. What would be a short-term goal? So we have September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Let's make that June just for math purposes. So if I want to save $1,000 by June of 2026, that's 10 months. So what is my short-term goal? $100 a month, right? So $100 per month or $50 per paycheck. So you can see how we can break down goals into even smaller goals to make them even more, a little bit more achievable. Do I have the ability to set aside $50 per paycheck? If I do, great. If I don't, then I need to reevaluate what my goal might be. Okay. Extend the time frame. So maybe I need a whole year, or maybe I need 2 years to save $1,000. Okay. Based on my my ability. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. We also want to think about our priorities, okay? What are our priorities and what potential trade-offs do we have to give up to meet those priorities for those goals, okay? One of the biggest trade-offs is time. As students, sometimes one of the trade-offs we give up is sleep, okay? But I know that if I've got to give up sleep during the next 2 years, just a little bit, after that, I get my degree, it will help me get a management position and I will be a little bit more successful in my career. Or I'll be able to open my own business and I'll be more successful in my career if I trade off this at that time, okay? We also need a little bit of flexibility. Why do you think we need flexibility when we're writing our goals or thinking about our goals? Things always come up, okay? Absolutely. So I have a personal goal I set in 2019. My goal is to get to the top of all 50 states before I turn 50. Okay? 50 before 50. Not just simply visiting a state, but actually go to the highest elevation, the highest point, climb the highest mountain in all 50 states before I turn 50. Okay? So in 2019, and I turned 50 in 2032. Okay? In 2019, I had 2 states done. I had Texas and Maine. In 2025, this past summer, I now have 41 states complete. Okay? So my goal is to get to 50. Look at this gap. It's a pretty big gap. But now, fast forward 6 years and look at my gap. Okay? Now, something else recently has happened within the last 2 or 3 years that I realized the elevation of Denali, Mount Denali, which is Alaska, the highest point in the United States, actually starts with a 2. That means it's over 20,000 feet. So I may adjust my goal to 45 before 45. Okay, get 4 more states in the next couple of years. And then I may adjust my goal because maybe, okay, I looked at Denali. It's a minimum of 3 weeks expedition. Minimum, the cheapest one I found was $10,000. And you have to show X number of expeditions that you've been on to hike in snow and climb in ice and have that equipment. And that's a huge investment. Am I willing to trade off that investment just to go to the top of Denali? Okay, maybe. Now, if I could spend the money and they could rappel me from a helicopter, I could just touch the bottom and then I could take a picture, take a selfie, and be done with it. That would be fantastic. I might trade that off. But sometimes we have to have flexibility. Something always is going to come up. Okay. And have a little bit of grace. Okay. Just because you don't achieve your goal, look at that gap from 48 to 9. See how much closer you get to your goal. And then you stop and you evaluate. Okay, what worked? What didn't work? Why didn't I reach my goal? Okay, what worked? Let's do that again. And let's reevaluate what our goal is. Okay. So, any questions about goal setting?
You mentioned that it's a big factor for that one. At what point does funding make the goal unachievable? And does reevaluating sometimes mean fixing the goal altogether?
Yeah, absolutely. Reevaluating does sometimes mean nixing the goal altogether. I mean, funding typically is a pretty big significant factor in a lot of goals. I see some people, I follow a couple of Facebook groups for GCU and people who are in the doctoral journey, and their financial aid has run out. And so now they've got 3 classes left. So what are they going to do? That funding is a huge thing. Are they able to fund those last 3 classes? My classes at GCU are about $2,600 a class. So that's $7,500. That's a pretty big investment. Almost $8,000 for someone to finish their degree if they have 3 classes left. So yeah, funding definitely sometimes can have an impact. And depending on what the goal is, you might have to nix it and or change it a little bit. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? All right. So as you are in the last few minutes of class, as you are moving through, this is our first week back. Some of you, this is maybe your first semester in college. I am a huge advocate for positive thinking. Okay. I understand that life is not always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes things go wrong. I personally have gone through some pretty significant trials in my almost 44 years, and look back at the time and think, oh my gosh, things are horrible. Everything is going wrong. And now I can look back and think about those times that I switched my mentality from I can't do this anymore to I can try one more thing. I can try one thing. Everything's really overwhelming. Okay, I can focus on one thing and do that right and then build upon that. So focus on that positive thinking. If you find yourself thinking something on that left-hand side, try to focus and shift that into a more positive mindset. What I'm going to have you all do is write some goals. So this will be your homework. I don't know why my computer has decided to stop. Oh, I see why. There we go. All right. So in Canvas, I think I copied it over. I hope I did. Oh, I'm in the wrong class. Hold on. All right. So we have a SMART goal writing assignment. And what does success look like to you? Okay, so these are both due on the 2nd of September, as well as a quick getting started quiz. Just make sure that I know that you've kind of got into Canvas and poked around a little bit. But check this out. For the SMART goal writing, okay, what I would recommend that you do is you're going to write 3 SMART goals, okay? One goal should be short term for this course. One should be short-term for a 1 to 2 year period, and one should be long-term for a 5 to 10 year. They can all be related to each other if you want, or they can all be completely different. They can be financial in nature, they could be spiritual in nature, they could be academic in nature, personal, whatever, okay? I am not grading you on your goals themselves, okay? What I'm grading you on for this assignment is, can you make that goal SMART, okay? So what I would recommend that you do is you write the word SMART, sorry, just like this, where it's spelled out like this. If you copy and paste this into your text box, write out the different components of your SMART goal, just like I gave you the example right here, okay? And then you write the full goal right underneath as you put all of those things together, okay? So my goal, I want to save $700 for a vacation by the end of March 2021 by saving $50 from each paycheck. That is my SMART goal. Instead of just saying, I want to save money, okay? So I would recommend you highlight, copy, and paste it into this box, and then write your goal right below it, okay? So short-term goals, one is for this class, one is for the next 1 to 2 years, and then long-term is for the next 5 to 10 years. And again, they can be relatable to each other, okay? So all of those are due by Tuesday of next week by 8 a.m. Remember, we will not have class on Tuesday because it is the Labor Day holiday carried over from my Monday class having the day off. Okay. Yes. Do you have a question, Nicholas? You have, oh, that's a good question. Let me show you. So on your Canvas, you have a to-do list on the home page. Let me look at student view. Why is it not giving me the week? Okay, so that's my announcement. I don't know why it's not showing the assignments.
Getting started quiz.
Yep. It's the getting started quiz and the SMART goals and the what does success look like to you, okay? In the assignments, you can see that this success, what does success look like to you? This is completely reflective, reflection based, okay? So you can watch this video I made last week of how I kind of come up with the idea of what does success look like to me, and how does that change. You can do that. Couple of things. I'm gonna explore why it's not showing up on your to-do list. Okay, my to-do list is things I have to grade. Your to-do list is all of your assignments that have been assigned a due date, okay? Canvas on the dashboard will combine all of your classes together. So you can see to prioritize which assignments are due first from all your different classes. If you actually go to the class, see, it does it for the other class. I'm not sure why it doesn't do for yours. I'll have to go back and double check yours. But you see how it says the to-do list? It has, these are ones that I have to grade, but it has the due date on there. Okay, yes. Always go by the due date that is assigned like in Canvas. If it's in the copy, and just maybe I forgot to go back and change it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right. It is 5:31. Thank you all so much. If you'll do me a favor and stack your red name tents neatly on that silver table, you can keep your 3-point your 3 points for your professional attire as a reference for 2 weeks from now. But normally you would drop that off as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.